Alright guys, today I'm going to be working on the rear brakes of the X3 G01. It's got the electronic handbrake, so we need to remove it. So I don't have the scan tool. We're going to do this by removing this module, and then we're going to unscrew it from the inside. So we have a 5mm hex. The screw for it is, so first thing I did was I removed this brake sensor wire. It was hooked on to here. So what I did was over here I took it off, and down here I took it off, moved it to the side, and this brake line was also in the way, so I loosened it. So then I took the screw is there's one on there's one right here with the extension, and then you screw that off, and then there's one on this side right where this bracket is. It's right on the bracket right here. That's the first thing I would do. Is unscrew that first, get that out of the way, and then we'll work on everything else. Okay, so after we got this loosened, we need a T45 socket to manually push the caliper piston back together. Anyway, I'll show you that in a second. We're gonna take the caliper off. It's a 13mm here, and then on the bottom 13mm here. So most people, wow, this is in the way. Yeah, just push it over. Most people say to use a 17 open box wrench, but the one I have doesn't fit here. So what I use is locking pliers to hold this, and a 13 to knock it out. Alright, so this is what my setup looks like. Locking pliers here and the 13 there, and then just knock it loose, and same thing on the bottom. So this is what my bottom setup looks like. Got the locking pliers and the 13, and then you just bang it loose. So I got the 2 bolts loose. Okay, we're gonna try to reuse the sensor, so I'm gonna take a small pry bar and pry that off. This is what my disc pad looks like. Oof, that's right up to the end almost. Alright, so just take the pry bar and just pry it off with 2 hands. Okay, I took the 2 brake pads off. Next step is to get the caliper bracket off, and that's, let's see if I get a good picture for you from the back. There's one down here and one up here. I don't have the E sockets, but a 13 millimeter works just fine. Just take a 1/2 inch bar and it should come loose. So this is for the bottom caliper bolt. I placed it like this and I was able to get enough leverage to break it out. And for the top caliper bolt, I did it this way, and yeah, I had enough leverage to get it down. Alright, so this is the back of the caliper, what I was talking about before. After I removed it, you just take a T, this is a 45, and then just spin it right, so clockwise, all the way to the end. This is what the motor does. Okay, just hand, and then you take a brake pad pusher and you push this over. I'll show you that in a second. In the meantime, I took off the caliper bolt right here. These guides are perfect. Okay, I'm gonna take a pick, take these, yeah, take that off, and gonna take a wire brush. Looks pretty clean. I'll take a wire brush and clean this edges off and put in new metal shims. So I used this and I cleaned up the inside and the bolts and the surface areas over here, and I put a little bit of grease before putting on the metal, and that should be good to go. Next step is taking off the rotor. I have a 6 millimeter whatever this is called, hex Allen key, and it should just come right off. Let's try it out. Let's see if I can get my first try. Oh yeah, just like that, easy. All right, screw that off. Take off the rotor. Okay, I need 2 hands for this. Alright, I did wire brush everything here and to there, and this is my new rotor. I'm gonna put it on right now. So this is my brake pad spreader setup. I also have the trunk hood open with the brake cap loose. I'm gonna push this in and see what happens. When you're pushing in the brake piston, make sure it goes in pretty easy, and make sure there's no tear on this rubber part right here. But everything looks good. Let's put this back on. So the next thing I'm going to put back on is the caliper. Put this back on with these 2 bolts. Okay, the caliper bracket is back on. At this point, I want to put the motor back on here. It looks pretty easy right now. So we just snap that back in, and then 2 of the 5 millimeter hex. Alright, so I was having a little bit trouble putting this on due to the gasket. I just used a little bit lube, and then it sticks right in. So the next part is putting these brakes on. So for the one inside, you want the the silver tabs on top. So that goes on the inside, and this one is on the outside of the wheel. So I'm just gonna grease up these points here, and the tips here, and then also grease up here and up here also, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, I got the caliper back, and then I got the brake sensor here. So what I did was put the brake sensor, feed it through, and then put on the pad, and then put the caliper back on. Next is the caliper bolts. I'm gonna use some Loctite on it, and then yeah, just torque it in. Alright, so I put the caliper bolts back on, and this is how the brake line, the sensor looks from here through the bleeder valve, and then there's a notch here that you clip in, and then you clip in again right there, and then it goes up, and you clip in again up there. So I sprayed a little silicone lube to make it easy, and yeah, this is how it's, and this is the whatever line, electric line for the e-brake. I put that back too. I got this bolt, those bolts, I got that bolt. All right, I'm done. Let's go for a test drive. Thanks for watching.